Hello everyone, my name is Anjeanette Gonzaga and I'll be the first reporter to discuss about the topic difference between hydrology and hydraulics. Before I go into that, I would like to give you a little history of hydrology and hydraulics. Water is a decisive source for life on Earth. At the time of birth, our body consists of 75% of water. The adult physics is covered by 60% of water survival. Without water for a couple of days is an unimaginable one. There is no life in the ecosystem without it. The million-dollar question is, where does water appear? From different people have different opinions. Some say it downpours from the sky. Some others say it flows from the oceans. Another group of people say it is from underground. But some even say funny answers, like when we open the tap it pours. That it is the answer for this is still a debate, but nobody knows is aware of how it's actually formed at present. Two-thirds of the Earth area is covered by water, but it's neither created nor destroyed it. Circulates around the Earth in several forms, that is ocean, rivers, ponds in the form of liquid, glaciers, ice cubes in solid form, and in the water vapor in gaseous. From the science behind the origin, circulation, and the distribution of water on the surface of the Earth and the atmosphere is termed as hydrology. Hydrology is derived from the terms hydro, water, and logy is a science. Simply, hydrology means water science. The origin of a hydrology was along in Indus, Pakistan, the Tigris and Euphrates in Mesopotamia, the Wangho in China, and the Nile in Egypt that the first hydraulic engineers created canals, levees, dams, subsurface water conduits, and well as early as 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. The modern science of hydrology may be considered to have begun with measurements of rainfall, evaporation, river discharge by area velocity method, and etc. From these measurements, which started in 17th century, scientists were able to draw correct conclusion on the observed hydrological phenomenon. Next is the region of hydraulics. Though ancient hydraulic systems have existed across cultures, the word hydraulic came from the roots in the Greek language. The Greek developed complex system of waters and hydraulic power, including irrigation system, canals, and aqueducts. It supplied water to Samos from across Mount Castro. Hydraulics was discovered in 1738. A Swiss mathematician called Daniel Bernoulli put this theory into practice. He used pressurized water in mills and pumps, but hydraulics became common in 1795 because of Joseph Bramah patented the first hydraulic press in England. Paving the way for the Industrial Revolution, hydraulic presses harness fluid power to automate all types of manufacturing equipment, including the ranging from printing presses and cranes to machines for cutting and stamping. Next is the hydrology. Hydrology means a science dealing with the properties, distribution, and circulation of water on and below the Earth's surface and in the atmosphere. In short, from the word hydro comes from the Greek word water. Hydrology is the study of water, and hydrologist is the scientist who study of water. Also, hydrology is the study of occurrence, distribution, movement, and qualities of the earth water, as well as their interaction with the environment at each stage of the hydrologic cycle. As a result, this is an example of water cycle, also known as the hydrologic cycle. It is a continuous process in which water is cleaned by evaporation and transferred from the Earth's surface, including the seas, to the atmosphere before returning to the land and oceans. The hydrologic cycle is interested in all physical, chemical, and biological processes involving water as it is passes through the atmosphere over the beneath the Earth's surface and the via growing plants. The process of hydrologic cycle is like the water from the ocean and surface of the earth evaporate and rises up in the air. It cools and condenses to the form clouds and then falls back to the earth as rain, snow, or hail. This circulation of water between the ocean and land is called a water cycle. Marami namang process na nabanggit when it comes in hydrologic cycle na mas detailed, but the water cycle consists of three major processes. Number 1 is the evaporation. Number 2, condensation, and precipitation. However, hydrologic cycle is very important because it determines how water gets to plants, animals, and people. It transports nutrients and sediments into and out of aquatic habitats in addition to providing water to people, animals, and plants. Water is one of our most valuable natural resources, as we all know. There would be no life on Earth without it. Nature has limited the amount of water accessible for our usage. Although there is a plenty of water on the planet, it is not always available in the appropriate places, in the right time, or the best quality. The growing plants or evidence that chemical waste inappropriately disposed yesterday or today are now showing up in our water system is exacerbating the problem. Hydrology has developed as a science is in response or purpose to the need to comprehend the Earth's complex water system and assist in the resolution of water issues. For further understanding, why is hydrology important in civil engineering or civil engineers? Hydrology is an extremely important field of study dealing with one of the most valuable resources of Earth. Water, all aspects of the Earth available water are studied by experts from many disciplines, from geologists to engineers, to obtain the information needed to manage these vital resources. Hydrologists works in conjunction with civil engineers to ensure the quality, integrity, and sustainability of infrastructure construction project. Civil engineers use the knowledge, information, observation, and data that have been collected by the hydrologists to design, build, and operate dams and reservoirs. So, comment below on what comes to your mind when you hear or read the word hydrology. Next is the features of hydrology. Hydrology features are the unit of water information required to convey, identify, or real-world wastewater object through the data processing chain from observation to water information. The work undertaken in the HDWG or Hydrology Domain Working Group lead to a series of water-related specifications to manage at different levels of detail the identification, observation, and representation of hydrologic features. The engineering hydrology deals with the following features. Number 1, estimation of water resources. Water balance estimation is an important tool to assess the current status and trends in water resources availability in an area over a specific period of time. Furthermore, water balance estimates certain water management, decision-making by assessing and improving the validity of vision, scenarios, and strategies. There are four major sources of surface water. There are rivers, lakes, ponds, and tanks that come in any forms. But the three main categories are salt water, groundwater, and surface water. In surface water, including the streams, rivers, lakes, wetlands, reservoirs, and creeks. Water Resources Assessment or WRA is the process of measuring, collecting, and analyzing relevant parameters on the quantity and quality of water resources for the purposes of a better development and management of water sources. Number 2. Study the components of the hydrological cycle like precipitation, runoff, transpiration, and their interaction. Precipitation is needed to replenish water to the earth. Without precipitation, this planet would be an innermost desert. The amount and duration of precipitation events affect both water level and water quality within an estuary. A portion of the precipitation seeps into the ground to replenish Earth's groundwater. Most of it flows downhill as a runoff. Runoff is extremely important in that not only does it keeps rivers and lakes full of water, but it is also changes the landscape by the action of erosion. Transpiration is the process in which plant roots absorb water and then release the water in the form of vapor through the leaves. Transpiration is an important factor in the water cycle as it is one of the major sources of water into the atmosphere. The hydrologic cycle is important because it is how water reaches the plants, animals, and us. Besides providing people, animals, and plants with water, it also moves things like nutrients, pathogens, and sediments in and out of aquatic ecosystem. Number 3. Study the problems of floods and droughts and preventive actions. This study is of a great importance because flooding damages properties and endangers humans and all others living things' lives is very important. This study is justified because floods are among the most frequent natural disasters that causes a greater economic losses and difficulties to human activities. The environment also suffers when floods occur. Moreover, chemicals and other hazardous substances end up in water and eventually contaminate the water bodies that plants end up in. In addition, flooding can destroy the natural balance of the ecosystem. Floods are often caused by a heavy rainfall, rapid snow melt, or a storm surge from a tropical cyclone or tsunami in coastal areas. River floods are caused when consistent rain or snow melt forces a river to exceed capacity. Coastal floods are caused by storm surge associated with typical cyclone and tsunami. So example of floods are severe flooding is caused by atmospheric conditions that lead to a heavy rain or the rapid melting snow and ice. There are also causes of overflowing of the rivers. For example, the people living along the river minsan dito tinatapon ang mga basura. So kapag malakas ang ulan, hindi maganda ang daloy ng tubig dahil sa mga nakabarang basura. Collapse of dams ay isa rin sa mga rason kung bakit nagkakaroon ng floods because of the biggest impact of the flow of water. So, how we can prevent floods? Isa na dito ang pagtatanim ng mga puno, iwasan ang pagtapon ng mga basura kahit saan, lalo na sa mga ilog, especially introduce better flood warning system, like create overflow areas for rivers and etc. So that's all my report. I hope you have learned about the importance, purpose, and anong pinag-aaralan ng hydrology. So the hydraulics will discussed by Mabel Dumaran. And that's all. Thank you.